Hi everyone, this is Miss Moore, and today we are starting our biology unit and we are generating ideas for our unit inquiry projects today. So, to give you some background in this subject domain, let's start with a brief introduction of biology. Biology is the natural science that is focused on living things. It's the study of life and living organisms, including what those organisms look like, their physical structure, how they function, their chemical structure, and how they interact with each other on a molecular level as well as on a broader level, a macroscopic level. This domain of science also looks at physiological mechanisms for survival, growth, and development. So, without further ado, let's formally define biology: the study of the structure, function, growth, origin, evolution, and distribution of living organisms. Now, there's many different subdisciplines within biology, which I'm going to give you a couple of examples of that will hopefully give you inspiration for your project today. Starting with botany. This is the science of plant life. It's also called plant science or phytology. Um, the scientists who study botany are called botanists or plant scientists. They study fungi, algae, and other forms of plants, not just the traditional forms that we think of when we hear the word plant. Cell biology is concerned with the structure and function of the cell, the basic unit of life. Cells are studied using several different techniques, such as growing cells in the lab, looking at cells under microscopes, and knowing how cells work and what all the different parts do is really important within the greater realm of biology as a whole. It's essential for advances being made in medical research towards fighting disease, curing cancer, and so on. Ecology is the study of the relationship between a living organism and its physical environment. And ecologists are trying to understand the connections between plants and animals and the world around them and how everything works together to sustain not only the organisms but the natural environment that serves as the ecosystem for those organisms. Evolutionary biology studies the process of evolution that led to the incredible diversity we have on our planet. It concerns important theories such as natural selection, common descent, and speciation, and has recently widened to include the genetic origins of adaptation. What is actually involved at the genetic level as an organism adapts to its surroundings? As well as molecular evolution and other forces that contribute to evolution of a species over time. This branch has close ties to our next branch, genetics, which is focused on heredity, the study of where we come from, biologically speaking, in terms of our immediate ancestry. Genetics is focused on the study of genes, which are like our biomolecular blueprints that tells our body exactly how to be down to the finest and most minute level of biochemical process. It looks at genetic variation within a species and how traits are inherited from one generation of that species to the next. Molecular biology also has close ties to genetics. This is a branch of biology that is focused on the molecular basis of all the activity in between your cells. Its primary focus is how the instructions in your DNA are translated into proteins. It's the proteins that are produced using those DNA instructions that determine your hair color, your eye color, your skin color, the shape of your ears, whether or not your ears produce earwax that's liquidy or solid. And some clinical research and medical therapies arising from molecular biology are now part of a new and upcoming field of biology called gene therapy or molecular medicine, where there are cures under development to try and treat genetic diseases. Anatomy and physiology is the study of the function of an organism and its parts. The focus of anatomy is the structure, whereas the focus of physiology is the chemistry and the physics of those structures and how they interact and allow the organism to function. Zoology is the study of animals and their behavior. It looks at all the living things that make up the animal kingdom and focuses on the structure of those organisms, how they evolved, where they live, in what habitats, and how they interact with their ecosystems. Biochemistry is another discipline that I wanted to chat with you about, but we have to be careful because there is so much overlap between biology and chemistry that this field has its own name, biochemistry, and your project needs to focus on the bio part of the biochemistry if this is a domain that you choose to explore. So let me give you an example. Making kombucha, super popular project for a biology UI, and it is very well suited because you may be asking an inquiry question like, how does the type of yeast used affect the carbonation of the kombucha? If your focus is on the behavior and the performance of the yeast, that's what makes this a biology project, rather than focusing on, say, the pH or the acidity of the kombucha. That would be more of a chemistry project. So, this is the opportunity you've been waiting for to work with living things. If you wanted to grow bacteria, if you wanted to grow yeast, if you wanted to see how different microorganisms interact with each other, if you wanted to grow plants and see how they respond to various stimuli, all of these topics are incorporated in the biology unit. However, because we are working with living things, ethical concerns are very important. Please treat all living things with respect, which means that if you want to do a dissection, you better come and talk to Miss Moore to make sure that you'll be following ethical parameters as you explore that organism. Okay, now it's time for you to conduct your own research and see what topics are most interesting to you. Please reach out if you need help with narrowing down an inquiry question or figuring out how you'll approach an experiment. Bye for now.